All right. Well, Money in the Bank is coming up this Saturday, 4 p.m. Cali time, and now it looks like the fight card is booked
Well, I mean, most of it was already booked, but now we got the final
for
Money in the
this
Bank
scene.
contestants. What was it? Drew won last night against Sheamus and Ilya, which was physical as hell. But I mean, I don't think anybody expected Sheamus or Ilya to win that one.
And then
Uh,
Zoe.
Zoe taking out Dakota, which was nice to see. I'm actually happy that nobody's helping EO this year because last year EO got a cop out having Bailey in there, and we all know how that one ended because she uh, shackled Bailey to Becky and went over the top of both of them to win the whole thing.
I saw that
But
she's still the favorite to win.
I think it's because she just won last year, and
Yeah,
everybody else that's in the thing with her this year. Because I mean, it's let's see, it's Io, Tiffany, Naomi, Zoe, and why
Chelsea.
am I Chelsea Green? Thank you. I always forget about her. I don't know why. I just there's something outside of the intro from Samantha. I never remember her name for some reason.
I'm
And
pulling
I
for
have
Naomi.
are you pulling for Naomi on this one?
Oh yeah, I love that woman.
I think it's gonna be Tiff. I think
Yeah.
it's this Tiffy time poll, dude. I'm telling you, ever since because I mean, were you there at the show? Did you go to the NXT show when they
No,
were
I
here in
didn't get
Bakersfield?
to.
So I was there. Actually, if you watch the NXT show, you'll see me while Becky and Tiff are beating the crap out of each other going up the stairs. I did make sure that I was in the PLE sightings. That was really cool. But dude, ever since that match, man, with her and Becky, it's just been a completely different game for her. She got into Elimination Chamber last year. She got into the Money in the Bank already this year, and she's barely been on the main roster for a couple months. Like you could
She's
say the
already getting
same.
there.
Yeah, you could say the same about Mello and Braun. I mean, those were the three big ones from NXT the last couple of years that really needed a pull or a push. I mean, but overall, like it's just one of those things where I think it's just Tiffy time. I think everybody's ready for it. We just got to see it. Whether she, because I also think with this whole, because let's not forget, Bailey has to take on Naya at SummerSlam in a couple weeks, and Naya and Tiffany are now kind of forming what I believe will be now a pseudo, partnership or faction at some point, which is going to throw in that kind of drama as well. Like, will she cash in on Nia as well, or was she only going to hold on to Bailey? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Finn Balor made uh, this latter match, he was going to cash in on Damian. I can tell you that for sure, especially after watching Monday. But we'll get into
Hmm.
that in a second. But I don't know. I'm pulling for Tiff. I think
You
Tiff is
think
going
it's
to be
gonna
the
be
one to
Tiff?
pull it off.
I'm gonna go with Naomi. But what do you think about the men's? Now there's Jay,
It's
Carmelo.
Jay. It's Jay Usos to lose. To be honest with you, it's same thing with Tiffany. Dude, the fan support for Jay since he broke away from the bloodline has been
Hmm.
nuts.
Well,
Just
I saw it.
absolutely
It was huge just to
incredible.
start off Raw last night.
And it's every year, and I mean, or it's every week. Like every time his music hits, the entire place goes nuts. I mean, naturally he was given the Fireflies. Like that was really cool to see. But with the Wyatt Six now back, how long that lasted to see.
Well, that's how I was
Uh,
gonna use this to bounce off because Gable's in that ladder match as well.
yeah, I know I talked to you about this off air, but I have a theory that Gable's not going to make it. And I don't mean in the sense that he's not going to make it to the venue, but I don't think he's going to make it to the match. I think they're going to call for Gable. Nothing's going to come out. And either
The
that or the
lights are gonna
lights are
go
going to
out.
go off.
Uh-huh.
Something's going to happen. And the Wyatt Six are going to replace Gable with Uncle Howdy. And if
Johnny
that is the
Blood.
case, if I am correct on this, on my theory, which, tinfoil hat theory, I realize,
Yes,
if
it
this
is
is
Tuesday
correct,
at 4:16, so this is
yes,
way before the live event.
if this is correct, Howdy wins.
You better.
If this is correct, Howdy wins, and then they're gonna pull the whole. Not only are they the most dangerous faction taking people out, but now
Now
they're
they'll
the
have a
most dangerous
contract.
faction for any champion to have to worry about because Howdy will just pop up out of nowhere, beat the crap out of you with the rest of the six, and take the title off of you. So it's really going to be interesting to see. But I'm waiting. This is the problem I have with WWE long term storyline though. It takes too long to get those matches that we desperately want to see.
Hmm.
And I know they want to get through this whole Chad Gable being evil to his family thing, and all that. They really are dancing around this him teaming up with the Creed brothers too. But I not 100% on how that's going to go, because the way I thought this was originally going to go was he was going to turn on the Alpha Academy early, and then the Creed brothers were going to step in as the new family, the
Yeah.
winners, and they were going to leave Ivy, who is the pit bull, the Diamond Mine, and then the Diamond Mine was going to then pick up Otis. Uh, I am drawing a blank on her name right now, and I am terrible
That
about
weird
this.
chick.
Taizawa and why am I Maxine Dupree?
Okay.
God damn it. Uh, so I thought that was going to happen. They were going to get the flip, and then obviously, eventually the Diamond Mine was going to come back, beat up on the now Alpha Academy, and Chad was going to see the error of his ways, much like Kurt Angle back in the day. But now it seems like he's just going to get taken out and killed by the
Yes.
Wyatt Six again, and we're going to get either Howdy or the Ramblin' Rabbit or somebody in that match that shouldn't be or isn't on the card currently, because the
Well, if
card
any of them,
currently, yeah, really.
if any of them get in there, I would pull for them. But as of right now, I think we have Jey Uso,
Right.
Carmelo,
Which love to see him
Gable,
in there, but he's not going to win.
LA
Gable,
Knight,
we already talked about. LA Knight's not going to win because he already has a title shot lined up against Logan Paul.
and then McIntyre. Who am I
I
missing
mean,
after that? Because I was thinking, okay, well, McIntyre will take that.
Drew, I'm sorry, you said Jay, Carmelo, LA, Gable, Drew. Oh my God, who is the fifth one? And I'm completely drawing a blank on this now as well. Hold on. I'm going to look that up. Because I know we talked about him last week, and I should have my notes in front of me, and I don't, and that is my fault.
Well, if the card goes as scheduled, I would lean on either Uso or McIntyre.
Right. I mean, but see, the other thing I think why I don't think McIntyre is going to get it is because kind of the same reason as LA Knight. We already have a storyline building with him and CM Punk.
He's more of a
And
filler.
exactly. So I feel like this is more of just another one of those situations where Drew's going to get fucked by CM Punk in some way. Like Punk is just going to show up out of nowhere and just rip
Which I
that
can
thing
see
right
that
off of him.
because they use that again on Monday Night Raw.
Right. Uh, oh, dang it. That's not the right line. Why are you lying to me? This one had Sheamus in it, and I was like, no, that's
Oh,
definitely
it's
wrong.
Andrade.
Andrade,
Yes,
that's
that's
who
who
it
it is.
is. The Speed Champion.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean, I
not
mean,
winning shit.
no, but he's got a little bit of a pull too. I mean, it's just not main card pull, and I don't feel, especially now that the titles are separated again, we're
Mm.
never going to see a Money in the Bank being cashed in on the U.S. title or the Intercontinental Championship. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and it would make no sense if
No,
they keep Gable in it, that the six has nothing to do with it.
right, and that's what I'm saying too. And they've led. I mean, if they would have left Gable alone after that first night, I'd agree. Or
Yeah.
I disagree with you, but I agree 100% because they keep coming out when Gable's running his mouth and they keep messing with Gable. I don't think Chad's going to make it to this match. I really don't. And I love Chad Gable and I love this perk peak Gable that's going on right now. I love seeing him as
Yeah.
a heel, but it's just not. It's not in the cards. There's no way. That's why I think it'd be a really cool thing for the WWE if they just said, you know what, Howdy's in, Gable's out, and then Chad has to deal with it in some sort of way, mentally and emotionally, and the next Monday. But because he's never going to step up to the Wyatt Six, I don't
Oh
think
no.
anybody will. But
No.
again, we've talked about that on the audio podcast. Like it's kind of coming true too, which I love. But this crew is going to be untouchable. Like they're going to
Yeah,
be so
that's what we
fucking
were talking
scary.
about off the air is, I've already been looking at the merch. I'm like, I
Oh
would
hell yeah!
sport that. I would sport
I'm
that.
I'm rocking. I'm thinking about getting a hoodie. I mean, I'm already rocking my Judgment Day merch at the moment, which we'll get to my boy Damien's match here in a second. But I, the Wyatt Six, and I'm still not convinced there's not a sixth member. I am still not
Oh,
convinced. I
it's
know
coming.
everybody is saying, "Oh no, it's just it's SICKS, not SIX." No, no, no. Like, let's
They'll
not
use it.
forget, Alexa Bliss is still on maternity leave, and they are going to need to use her in some way. And if they're still rolling hot, like, I don't see a reason not to. And I honestly want to see them go after Braun Strowman as well because of his connections to Bray. I would love to see them go down the line and like try to recruit, say, guys like Braun and be like, hey, you were part of this too. You should join the family. But we'll see how it goes.
Well,
But
just moving over
besides,
to the well, who do you think? I mean,
what do you mean in the ladder match?
as the card looks as of right now, I mean, because obviously, if anything has to do with the Wyatt, they're gonna win.
I would hope so. I mean,
I would,
again, that's my dream is that this crew kind of becomes the Undertaker of this generation and never really loses. Like they're this big scary monster that everybody
well,
has to
yeah,
get around. And it's just something that we've been vastly missing in the
yes,
WWE with the
the
absence of
dark side,
Kane. And yes, like I miss that. I miss the boogeyman. I miss Kane. Kane was my favorite wrestler of all time growing up. He was.
really.
Kane was number one, very close second and third were Rock and Stone Cold easily. Because I mean, obviously, I grew up in the
See, I'm a
90s.
diehard Undertaker guy, so I always liked
Undertaker
Kane,
always had my respect.
but I
Always had my
liked the
respect.
original Kane. I didn't really care for it after they changed his
Luke
mask, and then they
Gallows.
did the brothers, and then all of that.
Yeah, when actually that's a fun fact too for people who don't know. Luke Gallows of the OC was actually the fill-in for Kane when he had to fight himself, which I thought was
Hmm.
a really interesting storyline too. But yeah, I agree with you. The when he had the mask on at first, because it's the same guy. It's always been the same
Yeah.
dude. But and he is, I believe, what is he, a mayor or something like that in
Hmm.
Central America right now,
Yeah, and
which I find amazing.
if you ever watch that, there's a, I think it's the collectible show where they go around
Yes.
looking for the collectibles, and it was
Yeah,
the actual
Triple
the
H's
Undertaker
collectible
one,
show or something like that.
and on that episode, Kane goes like this and says, "You know where I got that from, right?" It was my fucking dog. He said, when I would turn my head, he said I was trying to look some type of gimmick he could find,
Mm-hmm.
and he was fucking with his dog, and his dog kept looking at him like it was
It's
what,
it's so hard to
and it
do
worked
this
so
type of
well.
thing, dude. Like, well, I mean, think about it. Like, it's kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Remnant. Imagine having to act something out and not say a damn word. Like most of us can't even do Pictionary or
Hmm.
charades, let alone be a wrestler and not say a damn word.
Uh-huh.
That's scary as hell. But I mean, again, that's besides the point. None of these people are within the WWE at the moment. So,
Well, if I
uh,
got to pick a winner, I would go with McIntyre, but
really, you think
I'm
Drew's gonna
pulling
pull
for
it
the
out?
Wyatt. I'm pulling for the Wyatt,
The
but
Wyatt
I
switch
kind
up.
of agree. I kind of agree with you with
I
McIntyre
would.
because he's already kind of got his storyline with.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't see guys like LA Knight or Drew McIntyre winning because they already have a set storyline. Guys like Jay Uso, like I said, if Howdy came in, I guess Carmelo, but I don't see Carmelo winning this. Like as much as I would love to see Melo get something, but he's just the arrogant little cuss at the moment that they're all beaten up on, which fits his character very well, especially the way he
Yeah.
left NXT. But it's just all that. I if I had to, if it's not Howdy, if Howdy doesn't show up and it's Gable in the match, then I'm sticking with Jey Uso. But
Yeah.
if we get the Wyatt switch up like we think, I gotta go.
I mean, it
I gotta
would
go with
make
Howdy
no
or whoever it
sense.
was.
It would make no sense with the Wyatt Six going after Gable in a PLE. I
Yeah,
mean, it can't just be a
either
Raw
that or
thing
he's gonna get scared out of the match by them.
and
Something's
not
gonna
show
happen.
up,
Yes,
just
they're
run
gonna
like he's been
show up.
doing.
They're gonna show up at some point, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I'll
But
use that to go over to the six-man tag with Rhodes, Orton, Kevin Owens against the Bloodline.
this is another interesting one because the PLE takes place in Ontario, which obviously everybody knows is Canada. The issue that I feel the Bloodline are going to run into because I think they want it to be Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu as the three. But the issue is that Jacob Fatu has issues when it comes to legal battles right now. So I don't even know if he could go. Like, there's a
What?
lot of questions right now if he could even go overseas for a lot of these PLEs. So I would expect it to be Solo, Tonga, and well, the two Tongas. Let's just call them the two Tongas.
Yeah.
Uh, and honestly, I don't know how this is going to end because it seems to me that this entire Bloodline storyline is leading up to one of two things. Either we're going to get the return of Roman Reigns by himself, and he's going to recruit the Usos and somebody else, maybe Sami Zayn or something, to be the old bloodline to take on the new bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and I like this one even better because this is something that I read this past week, and I am a huge like lover of this. But there is a rumor going around that we're going to get the Heyman guys to come back and avenge their man, because Brock Lesnar, now acquitted from a lot of this stuff that's been going on with the McMahon situation, he's going to be coming back eventually, I would assume.
Yeah.
He's too big. I know they kind of expunged him from the history of the WWE, but that could also be reversed. Roman Reigns obviously coming back. CM Punk being another one, since he's already gone to Punk for some sort of help. And Punk being at the PLE, obviously to screw over Drew, is already going to add on to that. And then there's got to be a fourth one, but I have no idea who the fourth one's going to be honest with you. I think it's just going to be, I mean, it would be nice to see someone like Stone Cold, somebody from the way, way back that he used to manage, but I doubt it. Or maybe Rob Van Dam, somebody that from ECW that would gladly step up and defend Paul for everything he's done. But there's got to be something.
We talked about the show last weekend, which you can find on all of our podcast platforms and YouTube. But I started to think about that, and then 3 or 4 posts came up where it wasn't Brock, but they started, who would you go with? When it was a bunch of former ECW guys, and I'm like, okay. And I saw a video of him with Paul saying that he hadn't slept in a couple of days because he's playing into the character so much.
He wanted to have that entire scene be more emotional and meaningful, I guess. But it was a really cool. It was a really cool promo. I really enjoyed that. I hated seeing him get sent through a damn table like that.
I didn't think it was that happen either.
I thought someone was going to come out to save him. I thought Roman was, but I also, watching Monday Night Raw, I was expecting Big E to pop out to save freaking Kofi at some point. And, I mean, we'll see how that goes, because he's another one that's kind of up in the air if he'll ever return ever again. Which I would love to see him return, but they need to, what the WWE needs to do, because especially with all these factions, they got to bring a trios championship in here at some point.
Yes.
AEW does it very well. I mean, I know TNT and all them do it very well. Ring of Honor obviously had theirs, but now I believe they're still with AEW. But regardless, like, I think they need to bring in something because I mean, they've already brought in a B title now for the NXT girls, for the Divas, I should say. Really shouldn't call them that. The female locker room now has a secondary title. That has to happen, I assume, for SmackDown and Raw eventually. But they got to make some new belts and throw this in here, because you got too many guys like the New Day, like Judgment Day, all these other guys that could be trios that could really work well together. And I think they need to capitalize on that a little bit more. But far be it for me to tell them how to run their organization. But but at the end of the day, dude, I mean, it's hard for me to say Cody and the boys aren't going to win this match. It's really hard. I would like to see the Bloodline get a little bit of humbling.
Yes, but that's who I think was going to win it. But
you think so?
I also am a big fan of Owens. So I was like, all right, well, I'm always going for Kevin Owens, but I think the Bloodline, how the story is going, they got to pull out the win.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking too. It's kind of like with the Wyatt Six. You want to build them up a little bit and make them look ferocious, and losing to Cody, Randy, and Kevin like that would probably stunt that a little bit. So I think you're right there. I think realistically the Bloodline wins on this one.
So going into the Intercontinental Championship,
Braun fucking Breaker all day, every day. I do not care.
Really?
Oh, dude, I am the biggest Braun Breaker fan. That's the only other shirt I need. I've been a fan of this dude for a long time. I mean, if you listen to the pod, I've mentioned this guy multiple times. When he was being drafted, he's a Steiner. For those of you who know, the Steiner brothers are. Yeah. Their episode of WWE Legends is coming out, I believe, this Sunday as well. Oh, nice. I'm very excited about that one. But no, Braun is the best thing about both of those men, and it just has gotten so much better as he's gotten to the WWE and to the main roster, because he is one of those guys, kind of like a Brock Lesnar, where he's a ferocious motherfucker. and he is
Yes.
scary to fight if you put him in the right situations. And I think the fights against all the lower, like if you noticed when he first came up with SmackDown, he was doing the same thing that Adam Pearce was doing, just throwing
Yeah.
him against nobodies. And he, and I obviously that was on purpose to build up
Make
why
him
Braun would be
huge.
pissed off and give him some reason to be pissed off. But then you watch the matches against Ilya and Ricochet, two very good wrestlers. Well, Ilya, I believe, has a little bit of background with. Ricochet, I don't believe has any background with. But the Ricochet Braun Breaker situation, unfortunately, Ricochet no longer with the organization.
Which I read is close to signing with AEW.
That's the rumor at the moment. Which if he does, that'd be a great spot for him. It really would. They would. Well, I mean, he is. It's hard for me to say WWE didn't use him correctly, but Ricochet was an internet sensation before he even touched the WWE ring. So
Yeah.
no matter where he goes, he's going to pull some people. It's like Matt Riddle. You love to root on Matt Riddle no matter where he is in the world. So I think he'll be fine with AEW. But that my point being, watching Breaker rip those two apart, somebody who's a very physical wrestler and then somebody who's a high flyer, really led up to this Sami Zayn match really well because Sami is very much both of those, but also a fighter and somebody who's not going to just roll over for someone. I'm pulling for Braun. I don't care. I like Sami Zayn is great. I know he's a fan favorite and all. I'm never gonna bet against my boy though, ever.
Well, I'll
That's
go
not
with
gonna
you
happen.
because I'm not a big Sammy fan, so
Sammy's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like I get
no, no, there's
he
not.
has the international pull and stuff like that, being
Yeah.
what he is, but I just I think we've already seen it a couple times now. He's gotten a couple matches in Saudi Arabia and he's gotten the homecoming matches and stuff. But now it's time for Sammy to go for a big title, not a mid-tier title. Because the dude can win the world or sorry, the WWE championship or the heavyweight championship because he's got that kind of fan pull. So,
Oh yeah.
and I
He's
think it's time
huge.
for Braun to get some sort of belt around his waist. And it would also be kind of cool being a little parallel to Gunther. Gunther's only been beaten by three people while being in the WWE on the main roster. One being Sammy, the other being Braun Breaker, and then the third one being technically Chad Gable by technicality. But actually, I think there was a third one in there. No, I have a fourth one in there, but I'm not mistaken. But it would be cool to see Braun not only get the title that Gunther had, but potentially go for. I don't think he'll go for the same amount of time because that'd be a ridiculous run just to
Yeah.
have right after the one that you just had. But he could keep it for at least a year. Like I think he's that good of a talent, and he's over so much as a heel right now, kind of like Rhea Ripley is, where it'd be hard to rip that belt off him with anybody or justify it to anybody, really.
Well, since you brought in Gunther,
It's
he's gonna take on whoever wins with Priest and Seth freaking
gonna be
Rollins.
Priest.
And I never liked Seth, but he's growing on me just in the last month. He's been growing on me. I think it's more of the fact that I don't like Priest. And I think this war back and forth with him,
Mm-hmm.
I just think maybe the last couple Raws that I've watched, I'm just kind of okay, I can go with this dude. So
I
you're probably
I
right
I
with the
get that.
Priest, but I think they'll branch it off with he's gonna fight, with his group
Yeah.
because they've already kind of set it up with Raw last night.
But see, that's kind of the question too, because I forgot about the stipulation that if he loses to Seth, he leaves Judgment Day. I totally forgot about that stipulation until last night because it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Uh, but I swear to God, dude, I don't know. I'm not 100% set on that. I think Damian wins. I think the fans are really starting to pull for Damian, and I see why.
Dude,
I like him.
that fucking choke slam last night was like,
It's
okay, well,
yeah,
damn.
that's what I'm saying, dude.
This
Like
motherfucker was like 20 feet in the air and slammed his ass on the
and
ground.
as great as Seth is, I don't see a point in Seth losing the belt at WrestleMania and then immediately getting it back a couple months later. It
Mhm.
doesn't really make sense to me. That's as me as this is to say, that's a McMahon move. That's a
Yeah.
Vince McMahon move. That's not a Triple H move.
Yeah.
Seems
And
to me. I'm sorry, not to cut you off.
the next PLE it's going to be Gunther's going to fight.
Yes,
You see, it'll be him and Priest.
Yes, I think it'll be him and Priest. Whether Priest wins that or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the scary part. But then again, we could also see, and just throwing this out there since it's Money in the Bank, say you're right and Drew wins. Who's to say Drew doesn't cash in the same night on Damian after he just beat Seth, just
Yeah.
like that's like Damian did to him at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Drew against Gunther. And then in that match, somehow CM Punk comes in and swifts
And
everybody away
I'm
because it's
trying to figure
Cleveland.
out how this will impact the his with Priest and his group. Like how's this all gonna work out? Because they've been stirring that pot.
See, that's kind of the other thing I'm curious about too, because I want to see Damian Priest versus Finn Balor.
Yes.
I want to see that matchup. I want to see Damian lose his belt to Finn. Because I'm also a big Finn fan. I love the entire Judgment. I mean, meh. But
Gross.
I'm a Judgment Day fan. I love Judgment Day, but at the same time, I'm kind of getting pissed off seeing Finn Balor not get the fucking credit he deserves as a
Yeah.
wrestler. And it bugs me that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get the fan hype behind Damien, especially with everything that's happened in the last year, taking on Bad Bunny and all that type of stuff. It's really cool. But Finn deserves that belt. Finn went toe to toe with Seth multiple times, could have won multiple times, quote unquote, obviously. But he, obviously the matches meant more against Seth because of the whole 7 year wait or whatever. But I think it would mean even more, at least one up those, if you took on Damien, knowing that they were former tag team partners and champions together, really good friends, faction members, et cetera, et cetera. And then that is when the faction most likely rips in half, where Liv takes Finn and JD, and Dom, Rhea, and Damien go off and be Judgment Day a different way.
Well, I could see that
Uh,
happening, just how they've kind of branched off where it's him in the room
yeah,
with Liv before Dom comes in and all this weird shit.
I'm just saying that's happening way too often for it not
Hmm.
to be a thing. Finn
And then now
sneaking
this
the.
last Monday night where he came out
Mm-hmm.
talking shit before Priest did, I'm like, okay,
And
well,
then
they're setting it up for some way.
exactly. So I think it's going to be Damian wins against Seth on Saturday. Most likely setting up Gunther and Damian. Potentially Damian winning that one if long story, telling stays, and would probably lead to Finn somehow screwing over Damian and taking the belt away. Now, that's why I thought Finn was going to be Money in the Bank and potentially win Money in the Bank. But, that obviously didn't happen, and Jay got the spot instead. So we will see how that ends up. But because it's also true that if you steal the briefcase, the briefcase is yours.
Yeah,
Just because you want it doesn't mean it stays yours. You
it's
have to
yours.
have the briefcase and the contract inside. So it's
Hmm.
not far fetched for someone like JD or Finn to steal the briefcase and somehow use that to their advantage as well.
Well, before we go double time like we usually do, I'll ask you one final question so we could post this. Do we see Ripley on Saturday?
I hope so, but there's no reason for her to be there. Like if there was a match, if we got the Liv versus Zelina match on Saturday, I'd say
Mhm.
absolutely yes, 110%. But no, I don't think so. I think we'll see her at SummerSlam, more than likely, because her return it's right around the corner. It really is, and I'm not even 100% sure if SummerSlam is going to be the day, because SummerSlam is going to have a lot going on. You got a lot of
Mhm.
people from Cleveland that are going to be going that night, including DIY, most likely, Awesome Truth. I mean, Logan Paul going
I was
against
gonna say
LA
LA
Knight.
Knight.
So
There's a
I would,
lot of good storylines going on right now. And I
I'd
want to see how
love,
this White one spins. And hopefully it's the White
mhm.
spin that pumps up this PLE.
I would love to see the Wyatts get involved. I need to see a match because I could already tell you right now, the Ramblin' Rabbit and Mercy the Buzzard, which is Eric Rowan and Dexter Loomis. They're gonna make a run at those tag spots because that's gonna be a hell of a team when they finally get going.
Well, I'm excited for this Saturday's Money in the Bank. Catch us live Sunday. We will be releasing our issue and we'll be recapping that. Plus, you can catch us next Tuesday for our next video, early bird special.
Also, we should name out Kimball Woods joining us to talk Money in the Bank on Sunday
that's
as
right.
well. KG will be in the studio with us, so that'll be a
That
lot of
will
fun.
be entertaining. Trust me. But you guys be safe and happy 4th of July.